This is the 19th season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, Aftco, Pro Guide Batteries, X-Zone Lures, Shoreline Boat and RV Repair, Spro, Gamakatsu, Big Bite Baits, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. We have two guests today on the show. One of them's kind of cut off because we're working with some new technology there. We good?
Good.
We're good? We have audio?
I could hear you, yes.
You could hear me.
You sounded sexy.
Did it sound crisp? Like it was coming through the external audio?
I mean, I don't have that good a hearing in this audio.
Okay.
I don't like this angle.
What's wrong with this angle?
It makes me look frumpy.
Well, we can walk around because we are at Icast 2023, a couple BTL favorites in the house. Miles Burghoff, Matt Stefan. Thank you guys for getting up early. I know that a lot of the work at Icast gets done after hours.
It sure does.
Between like 5 and 9, between steak dinners and things like that. So thank you for jumping on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man. We had to leave the Howl at the Moon a little bit early just to retain our voices. Yeah, it was not that long of a night for us. We sound like we were out long, but it really was not that long of a night. We kept it easy because Maddie invited us to come do a early BTL, so we are here.
Yes, we are. We're going to talk all things Icast. We're going to talk a little bit about what Icast is. We actually have about 45 minutes because there is a day 4 with Frank that is recorded that is going out today on Thursday,
cool.
but this is Eastern time. It goes out at 8:30 Central time. It's 7 o'clock Central time here. So let's first get out of the way before we do a little walkthrough and maybe see who we can see walking in.
Yeah.
Your impression of Icast, obviously what everybody who's watching wants to know is what are the things that they are going to be fishing with in the near future that caught your eye?
So, I didn't get to go to the product showcase like Matt did, but I do know I need to give a shout out to Z-Man for winning 2 categories, the Mulletron LT and the new Chatterbait Evo, or a Chatterbait Elite Evo. They won both of those categories. And those are the ones I'm most excited about because, the thing about this show is like, I always have the best intentions of walking around and seeing everything that everybody makes. But then I just end up getting caught up in the aisles, talking with all my friends and meeting new friends. And then I end up having to go to the my sponsors,
Just stand
booths and just hang out there.
Biggest question, what is the difference between the Jackhammer and the Evo? Because I actually had a couple emails about that of people that were saying, hey, we're seeing this new thing. The Jackhammer's going away and we got to buy them all up now. Is that the case? Or is
it's not. To my knowledge, it is not going away.
Okay.
But they are very, very similar. There's some similarities that the head, just the overall components package of it, very, very premium. They've got a premium 5/0 hook. I think the Jackhammer is a 4/0 hook, which is one difference. The Evo has a 2 trailer keeper system. So you got one that is like a lead molded on keeper, and then you have the traditional like wire hook type keeper, which is always my favorite. Still a lot of head to blade contact. Another thing that they did was change like the colors. They got some crazy cool colors, and they also have plated, painted, and glitter blades. Yeah, so a lot of features in it. So there's a lot of similarities to the Jackhammer. One feature that I think everybody's going to appreciate is I think it's around that $10 price point.
Nice.
So cheaper.
Same question to you, Mr. Stefan. Think something that caught your eye.
Yeah, so I did walk through the product showcase. I saw a bunch of baits that caught my eye. Unfortunately, they're smaller brands, so I don't know the names of them. So some pretty cool plastics coming out. I will say, I'm kind of surprised. I don't feel like there's that many cool new baits coming out across the board.
Yeah, I didn't see any of the...
Savage has a flying
a flying lure fish that's like that big.
Oh yeah,
But
that was really
I think
cool.
it's for like marlin.
That was really cool. It had the treble hook in the
Yeah,
back. But yeah, it is that big. It was a very tame new product showcase.
Yeah,
I thought so too.
I mean, I to give a shout out to Berkeley, one of my sponsors. They did announce several baits. They've got the Nessie, which is a soft glide bait.
Have you fished that?
Yeah, I got. So I actually am releasing a video on my channel today. It's an awesome bait. The cool thing is the price point of it is really very reasonable. I think the small size is like $6 and they go up to like $12. But they've got, I mean, so Berkeley, it really did release a bunch of different baits. They've got the Bobby Lane Frog. They've got the Berkeley Dime Crankbait, which is one that we've had. I mean, I caught a bunch of fish if you watch my videos from Clark's Hill. So it's not a shallow, but it's a crankbait that is similar to like the DT series, kind of that's 4, 6, 8, 10 range. Really good crankbait. So there are a lot of new products coming from Berkeley. I'm not as familiar with a lot of other brands, but it just seemed like most of the other companies had one, maybe two new products.
There's no new categories. I guess that's how I would explain it better, is that there was no new
there's nothing that blew your
revolutionary
mind.
bait that they opened up a whole new category.
I will
of bait.
say there was something in the new product showcase. Did you see the scrubber thing? It looked like a flywheel with a thing of line through it, but it had bristles out on each side. And you put it in front of your bait like a Carolina rig. And if you're dragging or you're cranking through like stuff that has like seed chafing or something or muck on the bottom, it catches in the cone or wire brush thing before it gets to your bait.
Oh, wow.
So you put it on your line like a Carolina rig.
Does it just accumulate? So
yeah,
you have
it
this
just
big
accumulates. No, you just have this big heavy thing in front.
How big is it?
It's about the size of the top of the pot.
What?
It's about that size of the top of a coffee can with a hole through it, except it's brushes all the way around it.
Weird.
That could be cool.
Yeah.
If it keeps your bait clean, that could be a pretty cool contraption.
It is.
I need to see that.
All right, let's go over some Icast
Okay.
details here then. So your reasoning for being here,
Oh.
not to see new stuff, not is
Yeah.
it to get sponsors? Is it to take care of your original sponsors? Like, what does your day to day entail at Icast?
All of the above. So I started doing Icast, I think 2008 or 9 was my first Icast. It was the year that they started doing it here versus Vegas. Yeah, I've never been to the Vegas Icast, but
That's probably
yeah.
I unfortunately have.
Yeah, but so I've been doing it all this time, and the value, and I've finally sold this guy on Icast. This is his very first Icast ever.
No way.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
yeah,
Pop my cherry.
yeah. And the value here, and I always, tell all young anglers trying to aspire to be a professional angler or anything in the industry, from any angle, you got to build your network, just get to know people. This is the best opportunity that you have to get to know the industry professionals and just build a rapport with people. And it's just a great opportunity to, in the showroom floor and out of the showroom floor, get to know these people, make friendships. And, it's crazy and it's frustrating for some people, but it really is who that opens up opportunities, right? Because people want to know what somebody's all about, and if they're dependable, if they're passionate about things, if they're going to stick around for a long time. And you only get that kind of connection and that kind of kind of guaranteeing them that you're going to be around for a while by being in front of them on a year-to-year basis, just building those relationships. And it's amazing, once you start building value yourself, going to Icast every single year, all of a sudden you start getting phone calls when opportunities arise. So for me, it's all about meeting new people, and also making sure that I represent my sponsors, so it's like, once I do have those opportunities, work with companies like Z-Man or a Motor Guide, any of those, make sure that you're servicing those brands and promoting them to the best of your ability in the booth. So
that's a very high educated level of answer there.
Thank you.
The short, let me just summarize Miles' answer for him. For Miles, it's about schmoozing. He
No.
loves, you just love,
I
you
love
to
interacting
float
with people.
around like a
I
butterfly.
sincerely
Your
love
first
it.
Icast, though.
Yeah.
I did not know that was your first Icast. Your initial impression first. I mean, most people look at the opportunity to go to Icast if you're not in the industry. It's hard to get a pass or a badge. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but it's not open to the public. I'm shocked that, I mean, you've been a full-time professional angler since you walked out of the Chicago Board of Exchange, where you dealt with devious dairy tactics, right?
Ooh,
Sure.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know about the dairy part, but
Wasn't
I knew
that your
it
main?
was-
Well, I was for a couple of year period. I did the dairy markets.
Oh,
I
wow.
was an
He made sure that
investigator
there
within the
was no-
financial markets. Manipulation within the dairy markets. The cheese, the milk, the butter,
How do
dry
you-
whey, it all fluctuates together.
But that's a big business.
I assume so.
So after you walked out of that, how have you never been to Icast? And what made you come this year out of all
So-
years?
Me.
Well, so I mean, I feel like earlier in my career, I didn't personally feel like I had a whole lot of value. So the way I approached my career early on was I felt like if I could fish at a high enough level, people would come to me, and it would be easier for me to go to companies and justify my asking for a sponsorship. That's really not how the industry works. So I thought it would be valuable for me to come to Icast. I've actually had Icast plans for several years in the past, but I've had to cancel based on like a couple of times I had kids, a couple of times we had like major flooding at home, and I had airline, like I canceled my airline tickets and everything.
So you were planning.
I have planned to be here multiple times. It just hasn't happened. But this year I really wanted to make an attempt for it because one, I'm on the verge of making the BPT, so I wanted to see.
Congratulations. Heck of a year.
We're not done yet.
I know, that's why I
5
haven't,
down,
that's why
1
I
to go.
haven't had you
My
on
money's
yet.
on you.
I haven't asked him to be on the show. I'm just letting it take its
So-
natural course.
So, you know, that I think has some value. The YouTube channel keeps growing, so I've got some value there. I'm here to represent sponsors. Like I'll be in Mudhole's booth today actually building rods.
Oh, really?
and putting
That's cool.
on
I'm going to have
demos.
to stop
know
by
that.
and see that.
You know,
It's
and
gonna
then
be the ugliest rod. It's gonna be dripping resin.
hey, as long as it catches fish,
Oh yeah,
that's all that matters. That's why you custom build. If you custom build, you can build it however you want. If you like drippy resin,
Yeah.
you can have drippy resin. And then I've got core tack.
It's because it's hot here in
The
Orlando.
Matt Stefan
It should
DR series.
It should dry
This
faster.
rod will
than what
stick
we're
with you whether you
Yeah.
want it to or not.
Right.
And then I've got core tackle. So I wanted to see what type of value with core tackle.
Is Core here?
We
or-
do not have a booth. No, we don't make that kind of money to have a booth.
It's kind of blowing up, though.
It's doing very, very well. Yeah. So
Because
I'm,
that is the hook that you and Johnny Schultz.
designed. Yeah, we've
Yeah.
got the hover rig, which is now being knocked off by several companies.
Oh, you're already getting knocked
Yeah,
off.
yeah. I thought they'd be here. I thought we were going to win best of show, but not actually win best of show. Meaning one of the knockoffs would, but the companies that I've seen coming out with pretty much the exact same thing are not here.
Do you
So-
think that's a knockoff due to the Core Tackle hover rig hook? Or do you think maybe it was in the works before?
No, it's the same thing.
Oh.
Like it's pretty much the same thing. And which is, I mean, in a way,
Does
right?
that
That's
grind your gears?
a little bit, but at the same time, to make it a sustainable
That's cool.
pattern. You know, they say, isn't imitation the best form of flattery? Isn't that what they say?
Yeah.
Something like
So
that.
from that standpoint, we recognize that if we want those baits to have longevity in the sport, we need to have other people making hover strolling a popular technique.
I got you.
So, why are you here?
Oh, that's a good question. A couple reasons here. This is the show where I try to kind of solidify sponsorship for the following season from existing sponsors. You know, a lot of the times, like you said, you talked about building relationships face to face. It's meeting those people that are behind the scenes that you maybe only talk to via email or on the phone. You can kind of get to sit down with some of them and make, show on paper what's good for 24. Also, I have a media editorial badge. Like I'm here, I'm looking at the new products, I'm walking booth to booth and seeing what is new, what is interesting, what I can talk about on the show, what I can talk about on BTL, what I can use myself, and then also looking for new opportunities,
Right.
both personally and for the BTL show. So we've done some cool things, I think. Just yesterday for talking, that'll be some more giveaways for BTL viewers, possibly some more shows in 2024. Cool. So what is hard to realize is, and especially for me when I was younger, is it may be July, but this is when the stuff gets done for what you see in January, February, 100%. And March of 2024. So you can't just go to a company in October and November.
Yeah.
I mean, this is when they're doing their budgets for the following year.
You have to be fresh in their mind. So that's one thing that you know, Matt was discussing his like original. I just realized I'm Matt Sandwich here, but just realized he was talking about like his original like perception of value. Build the value first, and then start making those connections. But early on, I realized when I was living here in Florida and going to college was, and I don't know if I realized it, but this was just kind of my strategy, is, you know, building the relationships first. Like the first few years, I never really asked for anything from any companies, anything like that, because there's so many people. This show is inundated with people with their hand out, you know, with these companies. So the first few years, I just wanted to get to know people, you know, and see what I could do. You know, if I went into a booth, it's a company that I love the products. I seem to jive with the people that work there. You know, I would say, hey, if you ever need anything, let me know. And the reason for that is I just didn't have any value in those beginning years, but I had the drive and I wanted to meet these people. But when you do start to grow value, that's when, because you're fresh in their mind, when they sit down at the table and they start thinking about, you know, if they have an opportunity to expand their pro staff, or they need a pro staff member in a certain region of the country, they'll think of me because I just saw them at Icast, you know, and they know that I'm dependable because I'm there year to year and I'm ready to work, you know. And that's kind of the value of this show from at least a professional, you know, fishing standpoint.
It's also interesting because there is an on the water value that you can create for yourself as well as off the water. I mean, there's 99% of people in this show make a living in this industry. It has nothing to do with their fishing. I make a living in this industry. Right. It has nothing to do with my fishing.
Apparently this year, me either.
But Matt, you are in a unique situation to where you're approaching and talking to companies to where you have a strong possibility of being one of the top 184 anglers at the top level of professional fishing. Was that a little different going in? And have you noticed that companies, your current sponsors, potential sponsors, are more focused on your on the water and how you're doing this year, or has that not been a big factor?
Well, that's one of the reasons I wanted to come, right?
Right,
so I wanted to judge the value in terms of like, you know, if I'm walking around, are people going to come?
People going, hey,
are people going to grab me out of nowhere, or, you know, am I going to have existing sponsors say, hey, you know, if you make it,
here's more.
And so yesterday I worked several sponsor booths, did a little bit of walking around, had lots of very positive conversations, but none of that was actually brought up. I mean, it was, hey, you're in a great position, but we never, like, maybe we could have talked about it. I didn't really want to bring up like that portion of like talking about if I make it, what is that?
Because it's weird, because you obviously want to say you have more value if you make it, but the way that it's positioned where the deals are done, you typically make it after the budgets are set for the year. Yeah. So you also don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse. So it's a real sticky situation.
So there's been with a few companies that I, you know, was in the booth with. I think a lot of it is more about solidifying your position within the company, and then, you know, I kind of get the sense that it's, hey, if you make it, we can discuss it a little bit more. Right now, go do your job, go make it. I'm in a better position than, say, you guys, where if I qualify in July. Yeah. So I've got some time. Generally, there's a little bit of room for budgets. If you guys qualify, when is your last term?
Mid-October.
Middle of October.
So a lot of budgets are closed for the following year at that point. So it's I feel like I don't have to force that topic here right now. I just want to lay the groundwork, find out, are you still interested in me? You know, and we can go from there. But I will say, I do kind of get the sense that it's a lot like a corporate job. You know, if a lot of times if you want a raise, you got to ask for the raise.
Yeah.
So
It's got to.
I feel like if I qualify and I don't pursue the value of that, I can have the same deals I had this year.
Yeah.
But it's not like, I don't feel like people are just going to be like, here's a truckload of money, go do it.
Personally, I think you should have some conversations with some of the companies and just kind of start discussing and just kind of see where they're at a little bit, test the waters.
But there's also a timing factor in that too. So like, if I'm in a booth and the guy I need to be talking to is busy talking to potential customers or whatever, I don't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
And one thing I did notice for sure, this place is so dang big that you know, it's like, okay, I've got a scheduled time to be here, a scheduled time to be here. I've got an hour in between. It takes me an hour to go from booth to straight to that other booth, because you've got people, whether they're anglers or people you've met in the past or people you've never met, that are just want to chat.
He is very, very much a greenhorn this week.
He doesn't know how to walk.
He does not know how to walk. He doesn't walk.
He told me how to
with
walk.
intention. He doesn't.
There's a walk
I told him yesterday.
Icast where even if you see someone you know, you just give them a nod.
Yeah.
And then there's the
What did I
walk-
tell you?
Then there's the walk where you could stop and chat with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Miles is a power walker.
He just.
Well, you know what I learned is if you pull your phone out and act like you're on your phone, you're
No.
good too.
No, there's two distinct walks. There's a I'm
No, you
open
don't do
for
that. You don't-
engagement.
you don't need
walk,
props.
And then there's the I'm
Well, it
headed to a
wasn't-
booth walk.
Yeah,
It wasn't.
100%.
It wasn't a prop. I was actually talking to Sarah.
Yeah.
And it was like like as soon as I was on the phone, I realized I started getting this and this instead of like the come stand. in
That's
your
not
face.
true. You were
That
going
was-
down the aisle just being like, sell. I heard you.
Sell,
It was
sell,
ridiculous.
sell what?
I don't know, stocks or dairy
I don't.
dairy futures or whatever you do.
I don't. I fish.
Okay, let me ask you this too. Have YouTube numbers, that type of stuff for either of you popped up in conversations at Icast as far as companies being important that you're diversifying your portfolio outside of just fishing?
Not a lot for me.
I've had more people come up and talk to me about YouTube than I have. Like, they come up and talk to me about YouTube, and then the question is, what are you fishing again? Like, what circuit are you fishing? So they have no idea of, of what circuit I'm fishing or what. They know me as a YouTuber, which is great because it enhances value, but I want to be known as a tournament angler.
Right. Outside of the show, it's amazing how YouTube, really influences, the viewership out there, because I hosted a fishing show called Sweetwater with my buddy Joey Nania, who just won the last Open. And I get more people talking about my YouTube, coming up to me about my YouTube than I did about that show in the heat of it.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like. It's crazy how many people are, on YouTube and watching that. And I've seen him walk around and people just are magnetized to this guy, despite his obvious shortcomings.
I will say one of the crazy things that used to be at Icast was there was the jersey era where every single person who had ever fished a BFL was at Icast somehow wore a jersey, or you'd see everyone in a jersey.
Yeah.
What you don't notice that this year. You see professional anglers in jerseys, and there's a couple booths that, which that's fine if they have it. But as far as like the guys walking around as anglers, it's been
much less
So
foot
why
traffic.
why do you think that changed?
I think the gig. I think they got called out.
I think so too. I think that they really tightened up on
Just everybody and who got in and how
Yeah.
they got in, and then people looking at the internet and talking about all the people wearing jerseys and pretending to be pro anglers at Icast. And I think it's a lot harder to fool. Not fool, but it's a lot harder to, especially with the advent of live.
Yeah.
And there's, I think, a reintroduced value to professional anglers with the live element, with both bass and the BPT.
So I would, and again, I don't have anything to base this off of. Part of me was pretty surprised to see the lack of tackle companies. Like, there's a lot of tackle companies, but there's not that many tackle companies here. When you break it down,
think they're all here.
No,
Who's not here?
There's a lot of people that.
Who's not here?
I mean,
Name one
okay,
other than your company.
Other than
core tackle's not here. No, I mean, I just, and maybe this is because I haven't walked around the whole show.
I promise you that's one.
All right, I can tell you, I know of multiple companies that are not here.
Yeah, I mean, there are some.
Like pretty big companies too.
And that just comes down to.
And my point with that is, I feel like if there's less tackle companies, there's less guys working those boots that are wearing jerseys.
Okay, that's a valid.
That's
point.
where I'm.
Yeah.
But I have nothing to base that on.
That's a valid point. I would say the primary function of Icast is you have the top level executives and salespeople from major companies that are working with top level buyers from big distributors, Bass Pro Shops, Omnia, Warehouse, all those guys, and they sit down in a back room and they're looking at the new products and they're saying, we need this in our store, or these are the things that we want. That's where you come in. You're standing in the booth. You're in the Z-Man booth, and you're explaining to a buyer about the new Evas, which you knew all about, and they're saying, okay, yes, this is something we want to stock. This fits our price point. This fits our demographic. Yeah. Then they go back, they do the deal, and that's where the big money stuff is.
And it's not only the big retailers either. I mean, a lot of smaller retailers. I mean, I was in the airport coming down here, and there was a couple of brick and mortar, mom and pop shops coming down here to write their orders and see what they can put on the shelves. 44 Tackle does the same thing.
Okay.
I think it's a big party too.
Yeah, and it's just a good way to reconnect with everybody and see what it is.
Right. 100%.
All right, we've been going about a half hour. The show is about to open. Like I said, there will be a BTL Day 4 with the man Frank Scalish following this, but I wanted to get Matt and Miles on. Can we talk a little bit about fishing? Yeah. You have one derby left this year. Like I said, we've left you alone the majority of the year. You just keep racking out top 25 finishes. Best year of your career.
Yeah, we're going good
at this point. You have to be excited rolling into a fishery that's actually kind of in your backyard too, with the final invitational of the year coming up on the Mississippi River out of La Crosse.
Yeah, Matt, I would be lying to you if I haven't worked the numbers out every potential possible way.
Okay, so you're thinking about it. You're not a guy who's like, I don't know where I am.
No, I mean, in this case, it's all about points right now. I believe I have 78 points in front of 9th place. So in a 150 boat field, if I finish in the top 78, I'm in. If I finish below the top 78, I need help from other anglers. My goal is to go in and approach this like any other tournament. If it means I'm locking through or driving skinny water, sandbar type stuff, I'll do it just to continue to fish the way that I am. But I have definitely thought multiple times how I wish this tournament was like tomorrow, right? Like, I've got another couple weeks to wait, and I just think about it every day to the point where there is part of me that's like, I feel like I'm overthinking it. Yeah. I just need to go fish a body of water that I'm familiar with.
A lot of times when a guy gets on a roll, what are you fifth in the angler deal? You've been as high as second.
Yeah.
Any theme that's carried through the first 5 events as far as tackle, bait, pattern wise, or have you had to kind of mix and match?
I mean, I've definitely power fished the shameless plug core tackle hover rig. I've caught a pile of my weigh-in fish on that. I have not caught one fish, weigh-in fish, that I'm 100% certain of on forward-facing sonar.
Wow, that's legit.
I've caught a lot of forward-facing sonar fish, but my weight, at Clarks Hill Lake, I started out catching a limit of spotted bass, forward-facing sonar. Pulled them all out, power fishing.
Really?
So I being one that's always been like forward-facing is taking the sport over, I kind of feel, I think it's pretty cool that I've done it so far really without it.
That's very cool.
Yeah. I think in that league you can definitely do that with just 2 days of practice.
I think my schedule
schedule
set up where you wouldn't have to do it.
Right. 100%.
Okay, your question. Same question to you, Miles. Obviously, neither of us are having the year that we wanted in the Bassmaster Open EQs.
I think you're beating me right now in the points.
It doesn't. But here's the
We
problem.
should be asking you the question.
The points don't matter unless you're in the top 9 or statistically have a chance to make the top
Right.
9.
Yeah.
We're both on like we need to win the last 4.
Oh yeah, I don't. I'm not, yeah, I don't really have a shot at making the elites this year, and you know that's actually obviously I was like pissed is the only word that I can use, but you know I honestly think it was probably one of the best things. You know, the last couple tournaments, especially the last one at Lakeview Fall in Oklahoma, the best thing that could have happened to me because it really opened my eyes to the required strategy adjustment for the opens. You know, the opens are completely different than where I was fishing with Matt. You know, on the pro circuit now, the invitationals, they have so much more fishing pressure because we have 5 days or 4.5 days of practice with 225 anglers and then co-anglers. So a lot of the shallow water power fishing tactics that I love to use, you know, like Matt does, aren't really playing a role once you get past the spawn where you've got the majority of the fish up shallow. And in the past, I could just grind it out, you know, and really
There
just
hasn't been much grinding it out.
No, it's like, so I used to be able to grind it out, get on some good stretches, catch one fish here, and just survive the summertime, you know, the post spawn. And unfortunately, I've learned my lesson. There's going to be a lot more looking down at my graph than I've ever done before. So the electronics, the technology, you know, not begrudgingly, I'm going to have to learn a little bit better and moving forward. And I'm going to kind of, you know, swing for the fences a little bit, but also just, you know, I'm going to fish the same where I can, you know, events where I can, like even the St. Lawrence, I could probably go shallow and catch some shallow, you know, smallmouth and maybe even largemouth.
20-pound bag of largemouth.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't know. It depends on where we are in that spawning process. Right now, it looks like the weights are leaning towards smallmouth for sure. But you know, but the events where I know from experience now that I'm not going to be able to for the shallow water fish, I'm going to have to use forward facing sonar and start, you know, kind of going that direction.
Follow Miles Burghoff on all your social media channels, YouTube,
Sonar
Instagram.
Fishing.
Yeah, you're still coming out with stuff. Matt, you're still doing daily videos?
Daily videos, even
Me
while
too.
I'm at Icast.
Yeah, you're doing daily. Both of you guys are doing daily videos.
I missed
It blows my
yesterday, I'm
mind
sorry.
how we do. Do you get a bunch in the can then, and then just schedule them out?
That's
so you
right.
don't-
Yeah, I try to do that.
I tried to do that with some of the BTL shows, but now hopefully you guys have enjoyed the crisp audio and the stable camera. I mean, we're not dropping it up on coffee tables and
You're doing
yelling
great.
into it anymore.
You're doing great.
Yeah.
I greatly appreciate it. Always appreciate you guys. It's cool to have all 3 of us in person here
Yeah.
at Icast
Super cool.
2023. You guys add a lot to the BTL show, and a lot of people are rooting for both of you guys to make the BPT, to make the Elite Series. So thanks for getting up early. Thanks for leaving early so you could get up early to jump on BTL.
Good luck to this guy. He's going to do it.
Yeah, good luck, dude. Catch him up there.
Thanks
All
for
right.
having us on.
BTL with Frank Scalish, day 4. It's a recorded episode, a really good episode, though. That runs 9:30 Eastern Time, 8:30 Central Time. We are headed to the Icast show. I'm going to pick it up and see if we can see over the side as people wait to get into Icast. There's the show right there and the entrance to Icast. So, all right, guys, that's all we got for today. Day 4 coming up, and then we will see you on Monday. Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
See ya.